Dr. Jazz.
Hey guys,
Dr.
Samo here.
Jazz.
Thanks for checking out the channel and its contents. And if you feel like it, please do subscribe. Thanks so much. Enjoy the video. Bye. Finding the time, appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for asking me to do this.
Oh, I have you on so many records. I was like, man, I haven't talked to you yet. I was like, I talked to almost everyone you played with. I mean, almost so many people, and I was like, dude,
Sure.
like, wow. But
My
I,
pleasure.
I want to I want to start this talk. Like, I was listening to Pathways today, and I wanted to ask you, like, uh, what's happening on the band leading department? I mean, have you been preparing something new? I'm like waiting for the new Mike Rodriguez album. So
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean that record, shoot, that came out a few years now ago. Um, but I've been playing some of that music throughout the years. I'm working on some new stuff now. I got a commission from the Jazz Gallery that I'm going to be premiering this year. So I started working on that, and I'm trying to think about the configuration that I'm going to use instrument wise.
yeah,
And so but so we'll see. Yeah, I definitely want to put out a new record, some new music, see where I'm at musically. That
mm,
that record Pathways, I think, is a great documentation of
absolutely.
kind of what I was experimenting with back then. And so even till today, when we play that music, it just, the guys, they've been playing it so much that it turns into this other thing, like the way it's supposed to be,
Yeah,
with any
yeah.
band really. And it's a lot of fun. So but I feel like I'm ready now to to explore some new avenues, some maybe some, I don't know,
Yeah,
some different stuff.
because Reverence is actually also a quintet, right? So
Yeah.
it's basically two same lineups in a way. I mean, there are. I mean, like, yeah, piano, trumpet, sax, drums, bass. Yeah,
Yeah. I
really
mean, I
cool.
like writing for the two horns. I get a chance to explore some different harmonies and whatnot, and I like that sound. And me, with the first record with Chris Cheek, so I've
Oof,
worked with
I love
Chris
that.
so many years with the Charlie Haden Liberation Band that I just obviously fell in love with his sound, and so that quintet, even though we didn't play that much as a quintet, but the gigs that we did do was great to have the front line with him and match his vibrations,
Yeah,
and then I decided to change the personnel and try some new cats, and with obviously with these guys, they're all seasoned musicians, and with John Ellis I was able to really
was also great. Yeah,
hone in and get this front line kind of sound that I've been hearing in my head, and
yeah.
he's kind of been my guy
Ah,
for the
he's so
past few
good. I love John's playing. Yeah, he's a great player.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you really like arrangements, right? I mean, like this the Pathways. I was listening to it today, and I was playing with my daughter. Like, so it was kind of in the background, but I was, my ears are there, like, what? And there's so much like counterpoint happening. The front line is playing something, and then like the bass and piano left hand are many times like filling in the spaces. Like, how do you usually come up with arrangements? I mean, how long does it take you to come up with a tune, and like how do you configure it in a way that it works?
Sure. Let's see. I usually I live with a tune for a few, a week or two. I kind of let it breathe,
Mm,
and I'll come back to it the next day or a couple of days and just see if I'm still kind of, hearing the same things, or if that feels good, whatever, then usually I'm constantly tweaking, and oh, maybe that's too busy, or I don't want the bass and the piano to be bored. So let me see if I can fit in a melodic statement for them to complement what's happening with the horn. I think about those sorts of things. Like, I don't want the cast just to be like, okay, there's another head chart. We'll just
yeah,
play chords. I want them to be involved in the melody as well as much as they can. I mean, they already do that harmonically. They, like a guy like Gary Versace, for
oh,
example, he'll dress up the melody as much as he can, even if there's not like a written notation for him, he'll add to it masterfully.
Yeah.
But for that record, some of those tunes, I felt like, yeah, let me get these guys, put them to work a little bit,
Yeah.
So I would throw in some bass lines and stuff that I didn't want to overwrite.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sense musically and whatnot, and I think it ended up being all right.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, I love it. I could almost hear it like as a big band recording, in a way,
Thank you, man.
because all these lines intertwining and could work actually. I mean,
Absolutely, yeah.
adding more lines and stuff, like beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
just for my own practice, I went ahead and took Pathways and wrote it out for a big band. And so just, for my own, and then so I go out and do some clinic work for some different universities, and they ask me, do you have any big band charts? And I was like, yeah, this is a great opportunity, so I'll bring that in and other stuff as well.
yeah, that's the next one, right? I mean, you've played with so many orchestras and big bands, and some of the best out there, and yeah, maybe it's time you do that as well, even though that's
I
like
mean,
a huge
that's a dream,
undertaking. I
sure.
mean,
Absolutely.
that's a big one. Yeah,
It's a huge undertaking, but it's, it's in the works. That's
yeah.
something to definitely thinking about.
Uh, Speaking of orchestras, you mentioned Charlie before, and I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, you kind of ended in the last edition of the Liberation Orchestra, probably one of the best kind of creative mini orchestras, I'll put it like that, or mini big bands, however we want to put it. And that was such a group, man. Matt Wilson, Carla Blade, Joe Daly, like the elders. Basically, I think you were probably the youngest cat there, and like you and Miguel probably Zenon, I guess.
Yeah.
But how did you get that gig and getting involved with Charlie? How was that like?
Great question. So when this is back in 2003 or 2002. I was like 23 years old. No, 2003. I was 23 years old. This is was that 2000, something like that. I was 23, 24. No, I remember I turned 24 on one of those Charlie Haden tours. So I was 23, that's for sure. And I got a random call from Charlie.
Oh, he called you, like,
He called me
oh
personally.
man, that's
All
amazing.
these cats were it says unknown, the flip phone back then, the Sprint. So I look at it and it says unknown, and I never picked those up, but I was like, what the hell, maybe I can like, mess around with the scammer or whatever. So I clicked on, say hello, and it was him. And he said, hey man, it's Charlie Haden. I was just like, took me totally by surprise. I don't know why he was, like, wow, how the heck did you get my number and all that? It was amazing. And he explained to me that Gonzalo Rubalcaba had recommended me, and I had met Gonzalo a few months earlier in that year. This was like a September of 2002, I think. And I had met Gonzalo earlier in that year, and I gave him a record that me and my brother had just finished called
Yeah,
Introducing the
yeah,
Rodriguez. So we gave him one, and just to listen, and my Robert and I were very proud of that record when it came out. And Gonzalo they had just finished doing a record called Nocturne, like the year before or something,
yeah.
which was a beautiful record. They
It's a
did with
beautiful record. Yeah.
Fano, David Sanchez, and Matheny's on it. Beautiful bolero record. So Charlie wanted to do a follow-up record to that. So he reached out to Gonzalo about maybe doing the music of this composer named Jose Maruquin, who was I believe Mexican composer. And Charlie wanted to add trumpet to it, but he didn't want like a mariachi sound. He wanted like somebody who can deal with. So Gonzalo say, hey man,
Wow.
check this cat out. And Charlie was like, hey man, Gonzalo told me about you, but I don't know how you sound. Can you send me something? And I was like, sure. So I sent him that same record. And I think a couple of months went by and I didn't hear back. So, back then there was no like email to send
Sure.
like
Yeah.
files and all that stuff. So we just, snail mail. And after 2 months, he called me back and said, hey man, so cool. The record date is in December. And by the way, what are you doing next summer? Because I'm putting together the Liberation Band. It was like when Bush was
Yeah.
president. And, I was I was like, man, I ain't doing nothing, I'm down, let's go, So that's how that happened in a nutshell.
So basically, you first did Land of the Sun, and then it was
Yeah,
yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
recorded Land of the Sun, and then the next summer, we went out on the Liberation tour, and during that tour, we recorded in Rome. He booked a studio in Rome, and we recorded Not in Our Name.
Not a name, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How was it like to hang with Charlie? I mean, back then, like it was his later period, and all those amazing musicians. How was it like for you on the road with those guys? I mean, you remember some stuff, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll never forget that. I remember since I was like the young cat back then, this was like my first big European tour. I mean, it was like a month tour in Europe
Man.
during the summertime, like,
Ooh,
the best time to be in Europe, I mean, it's great to go to Europe anytime, but like, that's when everything is happening,
yeah,
really. You see everybody out there, And so that was my first time jumping on a big tour like that. So Charlie basically put me on the musical map. He took me around the world. He did that for 11 years. So I'm forever indebted to
wow.
him. But yeah, to be on the road with him was funny. It was it was amazing to watch him. He was a great guy. Super. He always had jokes. He was a funny
Hmm,
guy.
interesting.
Um, he was very demanding on what he wanted as an artist.
Oh, really?
So,
Oh, wow.
so,
So he
so
talked about the music, how he
yeah,
wanted it.
well, yeah, in terms of like what he needed personally, like he was very hard on promoters.
Okay,
Uh, he was very meticulous with his hotels, and if things weren't right, he would want to switch and blah 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 things like. I mean, that's he was a jazz legend superstar, so
he could do it.
had definitely he can do that stuff, and that's fine. I didn't. But for me, I was just great to be on the road with those guys, and some of those other guys were a little bit older than me, so they were a little more seasoned, and yeah, those cats, they're big, and I got to eat all this great food and learn
Sure.
about wines, and all these cats, so it's like an incredible experience for a young person to be around,
Yeah.
and I was always making sure that the music was being taken care of, and I was given a lot of room to
Yeah.
do my
Yeah. Yeah.
things.
It's a beautiful
That
record,
band,
definitely.
and
Yeah.
Carla Bley she was amazing. I mean, I had played in her big band prior to
Oh,
joining
really? I
Charlie.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
because
Okay.
when I was at New School, I went to New School from 1999 to 2001. And one of those years, I studied with Lou Soloff, who
Mm,
passed away a few years ago.
man.
Yeah, and Lou was well, connected with Carla Bley, and so he got me in her band to sub for him 1 week at the Iridium, playing her big band music.
Wow. Beautiful.
And so that's where I met her first. And then we reconnected in Charlie's band, and then I did some quintet work with her after that with Steve Swallow. But she
That's
was
amazing.
incredible. I mean, just
Oh, man.
this level of, these level of, I mean, yes, they're legends, but just the level of humanity, just the big hearts. That's why I think back about that experience, and really, it's like, man, these people were incredible human beings.
Mm,
They were just lovely, lovely people. So I try to, connect some of that, connect with that, and just live,
that's so important, right?
live up to that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you, I mean, after finishing New School, did you immediately start to play gigs? Like, or was Charlie the first really big gig? I mean, or did you like start to play already small gigs with your brother and band
Um,
leading or
I
sideman
mean, yeah,
stuff?
for me, it was like first, I first started off playing little small gigs in town. I started playing like wedding bands stuff. I
Oh
mean, I
yeah,
had to pay
sure.
rent, so I was just like saying yes to everything. And then slowly, the more musical gratifying gigs were starting to, oh, and so the less like, uh, which I'm very grateful for
Oh
those
yeah, I know what
experiences.
you mean.
You know what I mean? Like, shoot, man,
Absolutely.
that was like, I mean, at least I was on my horn, all playing, and whew. So I tell all the young cats, man, just say yes to everything. You have to, stay in the game. But for me, right out of New School, I was doing a lot of those types of gigs, and then I started playing with this pianist named Eric Reed,
Oh,
kind of
you
locally.
played with Eric, really? I didn't
Played
know
with
that.
Eric. He
Oh,
had a
really?
quintet during that time, and we did some dates
I love
around the
Eric's music.
city
Yeah.
and around the tri-state area. I remember, and that was a great band too. It was Barack Mori,
Yeah.
Rodney Green, and Wayne Escoffery on
Oh,
tenor.
wow. Beautiful.
Yeah, no, it was a fun band. It was a great band. And then yeah, then word of mouth
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
city. Started playing with this composer named David Berger. I played in his big bands, and that Duke Ellington style of music. That was very important for me during my younger years, developing, playing with those guys. You had like Jerry Dodgen in the band, Dennis Irwin.
Oh, the
You
legends.
know,
Yeah, the elders.
yeah, these
Man.
cats were heavy, man. So
Yeah.
Bob Milliken, and it was great to be in that environment with those cats. And just being in New York, trying to be part of the community, and doing a lot of rehearsals at the Union, connecting with people, and little by little. And then actually Charlie, and then stuff with my brother as well, trying to get that going.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then yeah, the really big one was when Charlie reached out and was like, "Hey man, come on."
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah.
And I just forever
Beautiful.
grateful. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And you kept going the relationship with Gonzalo as well, right? I mean, I have that Avatar record, which is
Yeah.
it's the total opposite in a way of Charlie's Liberation, which is kind of more open and that is tight as a,
Oh, yeah.
dude, man, that's some heavy music. Like, how did you play it?
That
I mean,
shoot.
playing that stuff, that's like, did you guys rehearse a lot, or like playing with Gonzalo as a sideman? How was that? How did that go? I mean,
That was insane, man. I remember those years. That was some of the hardest music I've ever played. I
yeah,
mean, a lot of that was it came from Yosvani Terry. He brought in some tunes, and Gonzalo's too. His tunes were like, oh my god, they were so heavy. He had been I had seen him throughout the years, and he kept telling me, man, I'm gonna put something together. I want you, blah blah blah. And I said, yeah, all right. And then he called me and said, man, I got this idea for a quintet. And I said, great. And I remember I was out on the road with the Lincoln Center band, and I told them, man, I'm gonna come back. They were rehearsing for 3 days before they did. We were gonna do a week at the Jazz Standard, and then we were gonna take off for 3 weeks on the road, and then at the end of the tour, do the record Avatar. He planned it out perfectly, and so I was gonna miss the first 2 days of rehearsal because I was out with the Lincoln Center band. I couldn't really come back, and so he was cool with that. And then I came on the third day, and the band was already, they already had the shit tight. Excuse my
yeah.
language.
No,
And
come on, yeah,
I just jumped in. I've been checking out the music. I didn't want to show up, obviously. So I just jumped right in there, and it was like, okay, boom. Next thing you know, on the bandstand, and it was every night was crazy. It was amazing.
it's a lot of stretching out. It's like 10-minute tunes, right? Like that,
Oh
this
yeah.
is it, and that retrospective one, and it's like
Oh, they would go on forever, man.
that's some heavy stuff,
And
man.
he
Yeah,
was just pushing us to. He was just kicking our butts.
interesting.
He's incredible, unbelievable. The comping, I, I had the great privilege of playing all these amazing piano players.
Yeah, I want to ask you. Yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah,
all different ways of comping, and it's like so heavy,
yeah.
so heavy.
Yeah, you basically played it. I checked some of the records I have you on. It's like, with Kenny Barron and Gonzalo and of course Carla, Chick. I mean,
Yeah,
it's all of them have each one of them has their own world, right? Of comping, of soloing, of band leading, of composing, and you fit into everything perfectly, man. You're like a chameleon. It's like dupes. That's a skill. I mean, that's
thank you.
fantastic. That's
Thank you. I'm just super grateful for the I've been given those opportunities. I didn't want to never take it for granted. Just
yeah,
ooh, yeah. So very important.
yeah. Like you mentioned before the crisscross record, and when does the band leading aspect come? When did you start thinking about band leading actually, like under your own name? And I love that record, by the way, the crisscross one. Like this, how did the connection also with Jerry happen, Tikens, and like you becoming a band leader? Like, can you talk a bit about that, or?
Sure. Well, having been a sideman for all these years, I mean, I was co-leading the group with my brother. So during the early 2000s, we put out maybe like 3 records.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's up to 6. I think we have 6 that are out, and we're thinking about a new one. Just to
Beautiful,
come
man.
back. Yeah. So but I never kind of I didn't step out to on the limelight until I was like maybe 32 years old, and I had done some records recording for Crisscross on other people's records,
Yeah.
and so I got to meet Jerry that way, and he was he just hit me up out of the blue one day and said, "Man, I want to record you, man. You got some music?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." And so, I think I was missing a few tunes, so I went ahead and wrote some stuff. And I had been playing with these cats a little bit, and I've always liked, on that record I had Gerald Clayton, and
He's
I've
great,
always
yeah.
loved his playing. So I asked him if he could jump on and grace us, and yeah, that record came out nice. I really
Awesome,
liked
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Was
And
it
so
hard
that's
for
how
you,
that.
band leading? I mean,
Oh yeah, that was like the first like leader thing. I feel like I was in my early 30s, and I had been playing with all these wonderful masters, and I was like, man, it's time to maybe step out a little bit.
yeah,
I was in no rush to be out there, and I wanted to say something, have something to say. And I think by the time I was like 32, 33, I said, all right,
yeah.
let me make a statement here.
But nowadays standards, that's like, when kids make records when they're 17, actually, or something. You, you know.
Some are super talented, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah, sure. But
this is like, it's a little more than that.
I agree. I agree.
It's great to document your thing, but some cats, I don't know, they just, I guess, they want to be famous right away, and then, oh, my record, vote for my record, vote, Grammy. I'm like, man,
Yeah, come
yeah,
on, man.
it'll happen, but just,
Yeah,
that's the rush.
yeah,
Have something to say, you know.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, I love
But
that record. I
everybody's
mean,
different.
so beautiful.
Everybody's different. But yeah, this is an important record for me.
Yeah. Being a band leader, I mean, does that nowadays when you come back or look back, or is it easy for you being a band leader, like getting guys together and writing tunes and all the chisel that comes along with it? Or do you still feel like some sort of a pressure of,
At first, it was an adjustment, a little bit of an adjustment, but
yeah,
I thought about all the other band leaders that I've ever worked for, and how they're just like, man, do your thing. You're here. Do your thing. Here's some suggestions, some melodies, and please do your thing on it. So I'm like, yeah, man. So that's the approach I take with band leading. There, the specifics are the specifics, and so here's a little bit of information here, and then please do your thing, and
absolutely.
make me sound good.
Yeah, I mean, if you have such a band, if you have Gerald on piano, it's what is there to say? It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they take care of it. But it's nothing wrong with having a little bit of direction. It is, at the end of the day, your music, and you have a vision, and
yeah,
so you kind of suggest, like, maybe this way, this way, and they say sure, boom, and then what they bring is like, woo, wow.
yeah,
It's like, wow, I didn't think it was gonna be that. I love that. So
yeah.
that's
Did
my
did, did Kiyoshi
yeah.
bring you then the gig with Kenny Barron, or like how did the Kenny story happen?
With Kenny, let's see. I think he had a trio at the time, and then he had a quartet, and then he caught I caught wind of him wanting to do a quintet again, because he
Yeah,
used to have a quintet back decades before
yeah,
that.
John Stubblefield on tenor.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and those
yeah,
guys. Yeah,
yeah. Henderson was in
yeah,
one of
exactly.
those iterations. Um, yeah, I believe Kenny had heard me play with I think Gonzalo. He came down to the jazz standard and heard me play with Gonzalo, and then I joined right around, I think, right around the time that Jonathan Blake was also joined,
Yeah,
jumping ship and jumping on board. And then he heard Dana as well, and he wanted to put that together, and then he reached out as well, say, hey,
it's a nice record.
yeah,
Concentric Circles. I really love that record.
man,
Such beautiful arrangements and
yeah, hard, really hard.
Yeah, also
Write some hard stuff, man.
like different than Gonzalo. Like obviously
Oh
the
yes.
style, stylistically, but still like yeah, really beautifully arranged horns and beautiful stuff. Yeah.
It was great. I mean, that was like 15 years playing with him. You know,
Oh, you wow.
I played
You
with
spent
Kenny
some.
for. I mean, you know, we still do stuff here and there. You know, um, but yeah, I mean, I had a great seat because I would stand next to him,
Mm.
and you know, we played a lot at the Vanguard, so I would you know constantly be watching his fingers and just seeing how he dances on the keys. Is man, incredible touch. It's one of the best to ever do it. You know.
Yeah. How are these guys as band leaders? Kenny and let's say Gonzalo. You know, when I hear Gonzalo, he's very soft spoken. Like he doesn't talk much. Like I don't know how is he then like to the band or Kenny as well, for instance.
Gonzalo, his the way he writes out his music is very specific. You know, he has very specific things in the sound and the chord and the
Mm.
chord changes. He'll write like very specific
Oh,
stuff.
really? Oh, wow. Okay.
Whereas Kenny, Kenny don't really say anything. You know, he's there. Like I remember one time he wrote this tune called Von Hangman, which was a very tricky tune. It's kind of like a word him and Eddie Henderson would say when something is very difficult, like, "Oh man, Von Hang, this is like Von Hang." So he wrote this really difficult tune, and I remember asking him, you know, "Hey Kenny, how are you approaching this tune?" And he would just be like, "I don't know, man. I'm just you know listening to you." Yeah, so they're not gonna spoon feed you. This generation of masters, they're not, you know, like you figure it out. You know, you're there for a reason. You know, Chick was the same way. I remember when I was with him. I had reached a wall on one tune, and I was it was like a 5 week tour, and you know, by the third week, I was like, man, I want to break out of this wall. So I asked him, and he kind of looked at me, and I said, Chick, that one, you know, is there any suggestions on what? He's like, I don't know, man. Why don't you try some chromatic notes? And then he started demonstrating, and he was just like, you know, he had those big eyes, so he was just kind of looking at me, you know. I said, whoa. And what he was playing was unbelievable. You know, he said, try some chromatic notes. But you know, they're not gonna say, hey, try this scale. Maybe they just like, you know, play around with it. Find some notes in there. Find your notes, you know, try
Yeah.
things. So I mean these I love that.
Yeah.
That too, that generation of cats, they're just, hey, you're here for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out.
How was Chick on the road? I mean, like I know Jeff Ballard and others told me like that he was always really pushing the band, always playing different every night, like going different directions, like really throwing, like, come on, young cats, do it. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
was that
Yeah.
like for you the same when you joined the band?
Oh, definitely on the bandstand. You know, his comping is like, it's almost like at times I felt like I was comping for him. You know, when we were playing. You know, it's like he a lot of suggesting, a lot of like, you know,
Throwing th things,
and
yeah.
again, his music was like he'll just write like A7, but he's not playing A7. He's playing all this other things that you know that are part of A7, and so you know you got to use the ears a lot, and you know, yeah, constantly he was always practicing too. I mean, I'm sure all those
Really?
guys
Man.
that you've spoken to that were on the road with Chick, yeah, he big practitioner of the music. He would never. He had like this weighted keyboard that he had his crew would always wheel it around and set it up for him, and you know he was constantly practicing.
That's
I think
amazing.
at that point he had some sort of concerto that he was going to be playing like in a few months or whatever. So he was working on that during the breaks, or you know, or just like you know, working on the tunes, working on. This cat was unbelievable, man.
It's amazing,
But
right? At
yeah,
that age and like still pushing and
absolutely. You
that's
know, that's what I love about his band leading. Like, you know, he would hire, uh, you know, not only seasoned cats, but he would also hire young cats, and you know, that energy was always high. You know, he was all constantly. He never phoned it in. You know what I mean?
hmm
Some cats get complacent and they just kind of play. And that's fine too. I'm not dogging that, but you know, I think I subscribe to that school of like, nah, man, let's get in there, and because that keeps you young, you know. and keeps
Absolutely.
you young, definitely.
Yeah, he was just coming up with new projects, right? Like
Yeah,
every 2 years. I mean, he kept the old ones going and he still added new ones. Like he had the trio, he had the electric group, then he had the antidote, the Spanish hard band. Kind of, it's like, dude, man,
yeah. It was nonstop. It was
it's
always working.
incredible. Yeah.
Man, he's yeah. I miss him dearly.
How did you end up in that group, by the way? And
Again, it was out of the blue. He called me up. We
again,
left
it was
the
him.
event.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, my brother had befriended him years ago, and so I remember meeting Chick at an event, and my brother's like, "Oh, this is my brother Mike. He's a trumpet player." And I, "Oh, how you doing?" It was very nice. It was actually I think we were playing at a Grammy party, and Chick was in there hanging out, and me and my brother we were just kind of saying. And my brother had known him, so but yeah, I was on the road somewhere, and I see a missed call from a Clearwater phone number, and I'm like, man, I don't know anybody from Clearwater, Florida, and it was a message, so I click on the thing, and it says, hey, Mike, it's Chick Corea. Like, man, I don't know anybody else named Chick. This is amazing. And so he hit me up to play at that year he was celebrating his 75th
Yeah,
birthday
exactly. Yeah.
at Blue Note, so he had like a 2-month residency at Blue Note here in New York. And so one of the nights, yeah, it was like a 2-night run. He wanted to do the Leprechaun project,
Yeah.
and so he wanted to use trumpet on that. So it was me, Steve Davis, and Steve Wilson, with Steve Gadd, Eddie Gomez, and Chick. That was the band. Man, and I know. It was like I have to pinch myself sometimes and to like, wow, I can't believe I was a part of that. And I remember looking back and seeing Eddie Gomez playing Humpty Dumpty, and I'm like, holy
Yeah,
crap, man,
that's insane, man. Yeah.
that's the sound, man. These cats, wow, it was great. And then I think a year after that, I did a tour with the Lincoln Center band. I've been playing with them for like on and off for
On and
20
off. Yeah.
years, just
Yeah.
like doing sub work. When Winton takes off sometimes, and I'll jump in on his seat. They'll call me up. And so Winton, they were doing a tour with Chick, as Chick was the guest artist, but Winton had taken off for that. So I jumped in, and Chick, obviously I'd known him since since we did the Leprechaun thing. That was a fun tour to do with those guys and play his music. And then at that point, he had sounded me about. He goes, "Man, what are you doing next summer?" He did the same that Charlie Haden thing,
Yeah.
the cats. What are you doing next summer? I was like, man, I ain't doing nothing. Let's go. And so he put together the Spanish harp band, and then
Yeah.
that was that.
Oh, such a group, man. Yeah.
Wow, it was fun.
Yeah. Do you remember
That's
the first rehearsal, actually, when you played the first note with him? Like,
yeah.
when was that?
Well, I remember the first rehearsal at Carol's for the Leprechaun band.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
walked in. He had like a 2-month residency, so all his
Oh, I
piano,
remember that.
everything was set up in this one room. Steve Gadd's drum. I mean, it was amazing. But then the first rehearsal of the Spanish harp band was in Los Angeles. They flew us all out there, and we rehearsed at a studio.
Go.
And it's just great to meet everybody. Um, we rehearsed in the studio where we recorded. So we were rehearsed the band for
Oh, wow.
the
That's
music for
fantastic.
2 hours, and then we'll track it. That's how he did it. He wanted to do it that way. So we would just walk in, everything's already set up to record, and we'll just run the stuff. We would probably record 2 tunes a day. It was like a week-long recording. And he wanted it to do it that way. We recorded at the Mad Hatter studio in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
which used to belong to him.
Yeah.
And so that's how we did it. Yeah, we rehearsed like an hour and a half with breaks. Take a break. I said, guys, all right, let's see if we can do one. Do a couple of takes. Maybe clean up some things, and then that was it. Go home, go back to the hotel. Rest up. Next day, around 1 p.m. Go to it was very laid back, very
Amazing.
relaxed recording session.
Yeah. That's so nice, right? It's not
Ah,
like you have 4 hours and there's like, shit, we got to do 10 tunes. Like, that's the usual. I mean, right? Kind of.
I'm used to that, but man, this was like, holy smokes, man. It's like
Yeah.
very laid back.
How was it with when you first played with Steve and Eddie? with those guys, how was then the vibe with those guys? I mean, they have known each other like for what, 40 years back then already, like, and
40, 50 years. I mean, like I said, that, like this level of the humanity. I mean, these guys were just so loving. You know, Steve Gadd was so loving, man. Eddie Gomez, they're just
sweetheart, yeah.
just loving people. Just like super like great human beings. You know, there was no ego. There was no like I'm this. You got to respect me, youngster. No, no, it was none of that. You know, and even if it was that, I mean, I would have gone along with it. Like, yeah, of course, man, sure, yeah, you. As long as he's, you know, we don't disrespect each other. You know, but man, it was none of that. It was very. I remember my father came into town to come see that gig. And my dad's a drummer, and he wanted to meet Steve, and I was like, oh yeah, Dad, you know, come to the dressing room. So I get back there, and Steve's eating, and I was like, oh Steve, I'm sorry, man, you know, my dad wanted to meet you, but you know, we'll do it afterwards. He's like, no man, we'll do it now. He stopped eating, went up to meet my dad, and I was like, oh man. I'm sorry. He was like, no, it's totally cool, man. He met my dad, you know. And so the next time I saw Steve at this other event, he immediately asked about my dad. He goes, man, how's your dad doing, man?
That's nice.
You know, please tell him hello for me. And I'm like, man, wow. I mean, that's very nice, you know.
Yeah.
He gave my dad his number. He's like, man, call me, man. You know, blah blah blah. Who does that, man? That's unbelievable. That's
It's
beautiful.
Steve Gadd, man. Come on, you know, it's like, yeah, insane.
Yeah,
All these guys. That's so beautiful, man.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool humans, you know.
Yeah, it's just like at this level, right? There are also, it's rarely you meet an asshole who's, I'll put it like that, at that level.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're really like, yeah.
Absolutely, man. Jimmy Heath I got to play with Jimmy Heath's big band
Wow.
for a little bit, and I remember the same thing, man. Just asking questions about, you know, Fats Navarro, man. He lit up. He remembered everything about that time with Fat, you know, and just loving people, you know.
Yeah.
Jimmy was so, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that. Did these cats talk a lot about the past, or like past gigs, or like Chick or someone like that? Like, what, or not really? Or if you ask them, they did, or like Charlie, or
Yeah, if you ask them, they'll talk about it.
okay.
Like I remember with Chick, we were, you know, obviously I love those Blue Mitchell records that he was on. And so we're on the bus, the tour bus. It was a big bus, you know, with bunks and all this. And Chick slept in the back in the big one, you know, which is fine. But I remember after the concerts, we would jump on this bus and drive for like maybe 10 hours or whatever. But you know, we're still, you know, it was like maybe midnight, and we're still awake, you know, the young.
Of course, yeah.
And, you know, like Marcus Gilmore, Carlos de Puerto, you know, Lucita Quintero. You know, they have these cats were like, man,
Of course, yeah.
I can't go to bed yet. So we're drinking some wine, and Chick is hanging out too. He didn't drink at all. He was like super. He had separate. He always separated his food because he had like a special diet and all. But he was always hanging. And I remember I put on the Blue Mitchell record, and it was the tune, Chick's tune. And he just sat there, man. He goes, wow, I haven't heard this in decades.
Beautiful.
So he was just quiet listening to it. And he would just call out McCoy Tyner during his solo. He would just call out McCoy Tyner, Horace Silver, McCoy Tyner. Like, those were his influences, you know. So he was just calling it out. He goes, man, he said his favorite pianist was Horace Silver.
Really interesting.
Isn't that something? So, you know, when you think about it, you're like, oh shoot, you know what? I do. You know, I started hearing a lot of Horace Silver in his
Lines,
playing.
yeah, maybe, yeah.
Once he said that, I was like, oh snap, okay, yeah, I can see that. I mean, obviously, McCoy was a big, you know, influence.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And he was able to, you know, come up with his own sound. Chick had a very particular sound that you hear one note, you know it's him. You know, so it was just great to see him in there. You know, kind of go back in time a little bit. Just kind of, wow, okay.
Yeah, I love that. When you're on the road with the elders, that they get to speak about the past sometimes. I just love that, man. It's just, I had a tour 3 years ago with Ariel Anderson and Bob Moses. And, you know, those guys started to talk about, you know, like Moses, like when he was kind of jamming with Charlie Mingus and stuff like that. And then Ariel was like, yeah, you know, we used to tour with Sonny Rollins when you on Christensen. and then I'm there like sipping my glass of red wine, like, yeah, what am I doing here, dude?
And hit
So
record. Just kind of, what else happened?
yeah, exactly. I
Get all
love
these
those.
stories, man. I love that too.
Yeah,
I think it's important to hear these stories.
yeah, because like outside people don't hear it except musicians, like who are on the road, because usually that's when they share this stuff, right? Like it rarely gets out on the interviews, except if like me or someone like that gets to talk with still some of those who are still alive, and then maybe share some of it, but they share most of it on the road, when it's like among the band, and I love that stuff. That's
It's a
so
trip,
cool,
man.
man.
Then you become part of that legacy. Like,
Their story, yeah.
um, like I think about when I was a kid in the '90s, listening to all those GRP records, the Chick Corea Electric Band. Me and my brother were, fans of that band. I mean, never would I had ever imagined that this same gentleman would be calling me, 20 years later to play with him. So, to think about that and think about that little kid back then, it's like, hey, buddy, if I can go back in time, man, I'll just tell him, you'll see, like, keep checking this stuff out.
Yeah.
And you become part of this, like whenever I see guys who used to play in Chick's band during, like you share like this brotherhood with them now, like,
That's
oh man, yeah,
beautiful.
he did that. Yeah, Chick was this too. He did the same thing. Oh yeah, yeah, blah, blah. It's funny. Just before I press click to join in on this Zoom, Patitucci was calling me.
Oh wow.
We have a gig coming up next week in Toronto, and I was like, holy smokes, man! Like I can't answer this right now because we're on time here. So I was like, look,
Oh,
so
but you should have. Oh, come on.
yeah, we get them online here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We still have to do the interview with John. Like we were talking about this 3 years ago, and then like time passed by, and like
Well, here, boom, there's the sign right there.
yeah, there's a sign. Yeah, like
So
but you,
anytime I see him or get to talk to him, we talk about Chick and
he's probably the same, right? Like because
oh,
he was like
absolutely,
in the 80s. He was like 20 when he joined the band or something.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah,
the '80s, and then he did all the '90s stuff, and
yeah,
so yeah, it's great to listen to that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
what are you doing with Patitucci? I mean, like, is it his
Oh,
group or?
this is a group. This is actually a group. Lenny White called me to come in and play with this group. This is like the off the record Echoes of an Era.
Mm-hmm.
It's with that record is Lenny White, Stanley Clarke, Freddie Hubbard, Joe Henderson, and Chick
Okay.
and Shaka Khan
I have to
was
check
singing.
this one. I don't know this one.
So
Okay.
they put this project together again. I think Lenny is behind it as well, and Javon Jackson. So Javon asked me Lenny had called me and to jump in, play some gigs with them. So it's going to be Patitucci, Orrin Evans, um, Javon Jackson, myself, Lenny White, and Lisa Fisher. Going to be
Okay,
singing.
sure.
So we have
Beautiful.
a gig next Saturday in Toronto.
Wow.
That's probably what he was calling me for.
Have you ever played with John before? Or
I played with John before. Yeah, we
you
did
did?
some things together, and then Robert and I hired him to play with us at Dizzy's one week. That was a crazy band. It was like Jeff Ting Watts, John, my brother, myself, and Pedrito Martinez. We did a
Oh,
week at Dizzy's. This is maybe like 20 years ago or something like that when
oh
they used to do
man.
week-long stuff. Oh man, that was butt kicking.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and John
That's
was
incredible.
very supportive and super cool guy. Another one of those guys that is just
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's
they're just like they're not BSing people. They're just like really.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What else is on the schedule for you, by the way? Like in the upcoming weeks, months? Are you coming to Europe? I think you were in Europe this year, right? I saw you played in Vienna, but I couldn't make it. It's
Oh yeah, no, I came. Well, I was in Vienna for I did a workshop over there, but I was playing in Graz.
Oh, you were in Graz, man. Shit,
I'm from
that's like half
Graz.
an hour away from me.
Get out of here.
I wish I knew, man. Oh,
Oh
fuck.
shoot. Nah, yeah, I was jumping around. Luis Bonilla is
Yeah, yeah, sure. I know Luis. Yeah.
everybody out there. Yeah, everybody knows Luis. So he set up this thing for me to go teach out in Graz for the week, and then
Ah,
he put together some like run outs for me and some local cats. So I went up to Vienna and did something there. But I'm gonna be back in the summer. I'm doing like a tour with Patricia Brennan.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful, man.
run around in
That's some
Europe.
heavy music, probably, right?
Oh man, yeah, I was checking it out. I was like, woof. Got Dan Weiss, Mark Shim, John Arabagon. I mean, yeah, it's loaded. It's loaded. It's a loaded band, you know, it's stacked, as they say. So I'm just, you know, I'm trying to jump in there and see what I can contribute.
Beautiful.
That'll be in the summer. What's coming up? I, you know, was doing some stuff with the Maria Schneider Orchestra. I've been a member in her band since
Yeah, I know.
2012. So I'm gonna do some things with her and the SF Collective, SF Jazz Collective's got some dates. Yeah, and then just you know, Robert and I, we got this tour lining. We're lining up something in June.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so you know, it's gonna be pretty busy.
Yeah, it's
So
beautiful to see you with San Francisco and Maria. Like you're in the top groups, man. Beautiful.
that's man. I'm very listen.
You must be doing something right, so
I don't take anything for granted, man. Just hey,
sure.
sure. Thank you very much, man.
Beautiful, man.
Every day I'm on it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you can hear that. So that's beautiful. Cool. Michael, I'll leave you a nice afternoon in.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing these thoughts. And if you're going to be in Europe in July or have a day off or something, drop me a line. And I'm in Slovenia, which is kind of south of Graz,
Okay.
and we can hang or whatever if you
Sounds
want.
good,
So,
man. I'll definitely keep it in mind. Thank
yeah.
you, Sam.
And thanks so much, you too. And I'll send you a link when this is out and we can then share it and everything. So
Beautiful. Thank you.
stay strong,
Bye-bye.
man.
You too, brother.
Looking
Bye
forward to
bye.
the next record. So
Thanks, man. Me too.
it's a must. Bye.
Yes, absolutely. Take care.
Ciao.